Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Today, we're tackling an issue that's affecting many Americans who want to have home ownership. So today, we're going to be looking at that because as home prices continue to rise and mortgage rates remain high, the median age of home buyers has jumped from 56 up from 45. So what's keeping the younger generation out of the market, and what can we do to overcome these financial hurdles? So today we're going to dive into the reasons why home ownership is becoming increasingly difficult for younger generations, particularly in the Black communities, and discussing the strategies that we can use to build wealth despite these challenges. So we are going to get into it. I have my royal panel here with me. We have Marlo, TV film producer, and we have Joe Corley, licensed therapist, mental wellness coach, and educator. Listen, guys, this is my wheelhouse. I'm all for it because I have to say, even when I was younger, I never really thought about owning my own home. It was my husband who actually pushed me to do it. And so we bought our first home in our late 20s, so 29. So my question for you is, are either of you a homeowner? And if you are, at what age did you buy? I'll start with you, Marlo.
I am not. I've shared before that my first marriage, we were not fiscally fit. And so we did not buy a home, and I'm in the throes. Hopefully within the next couple of years, I'll be ready. But also, I don't know. So we'll see after this show if any of these non-home ownership lovers can change my mind.
Or maybe I can convince you otherwise. How about you, Joe? Where are you on the home ownership spectrum?
Yeah, I own a home now. I've pretty much been in home ownership since I was in my early to mid 20s. So.
Oh, wow. That's good. I don't have very many younger generations who are looking. I do have a few, but that you got into it that early. What did you understand the importance of that at the time?
No, I don't think it was a matter of me like knowing that this was something I needed to invest in, or maybe I would have done it earlier when I had an abundance of money in my late teens. But no, it was more just about this is what you do because I've been told this is what you do. I didn't understand what I was doing.
Right. Because actually the older generation is the ones, the parents, like they told you what to do. You're going to get your education. You're going to have a family. You're going to buy a home, and you're going to have 2.5 kids, and you're going to have a dog. I mean, when I came up in the 70s, that's what we were told. But I want to check this first video out so that we can get into this conversation and have a good pros and cons situation where people can make the best decisions for them. Let's check this out.
The American dream of owning a home is increasingly for those in their later phases of life. And forget buying your starter home. This year, first-time home buyers make up the smallest slice of the market since the National Association of Realtors started keeping track in 1981. First-time buyers between July 2023 and June 2024 dropped to 24% of the market from 32% just a year ago. NAR Deputy Chief Economist Jessica Lautz says first-time buyers face high home prices, high mortgage interest rates, and limited inventory, making them a decade older with significantly higher incomes than previous generations of buyers. The average age of first-time buyers rose to 38 from 35 last year. Meanwhile, the average age of repeat buyers hit 61 from 58 years old. Put all the buyers in the same pile, the average home buying age this past year is 56 years old, up from 49 years old just 1 year ago. The median household income for those first-timers is $97,000, an increase of $26,000 in the past 2 years. Without previous home equity to rely on, they're putting down an average of 9%. Yes, that's shy of the golden 20% goal, but it is the highest down payment for first-time buyers since 1997. 69% of first-time buyers relied on savings for down payments, 25% got loans from friends and family, 21% cashed out financial assets, and an all-time high of 7% used inheritance money to close the deal.
So there's a lot of factors that are going into this. And I'm going to ask you both the same question. And this goes for our viewership family as well. In your opinion, Joe, why is home ownership becoming less of a reality for our younger generations?
Well, I mean, let's look at it a little bit historically. I mean, especially we're talking in the Black community, right? I mean, we've been systematically shut out from home ownership for generations. I mean, it's a real thing. You know, it's discrimination, it's predatory lending. I just told you, I picked up in it in my early 20s. I was definitely a victim of predatory lending, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. So as a result, I mean, many young Black people who, and in this stage, in this generation, are really wealth builders. I mean, they're like the first generation of wealth builders versus the generation before them where they're just trying to survive, right? You weren't buying a home to, build wealth. You were buying a home to survive and to have status and to be seen as an equal. So without that, that family-owned property to fall back on, this generation is somewhat falling behind. So I just think that after being historically denied for a generation, and now they're catching on. Like, okay, now we have to, build this wealth. It's just a little more difficult to start off from nothing versus, people who have the opportunities right in front of them. Like you grew up in situations where wealth is being passed down generationally, and you can slide into certain situations, and we just don't have a lot of that in our community, as you know.
Right. And we're always the last ones to be able to get a leg up anywhere if we ever do at all. How about you, Marlo? Why do you think that home ownership is becoming less of a reality for the younger generations?
Well, I think a lot of people look at their parents' experiences and are trying to figure out how they can improve upon them, right? I think a lot of young people want to have experiences that they didn't have because many times you got to pay that mortgage, you got to pay those bills. You don't have a lot of money left over for vacation and fun, especially traveling abroad. I think that if we look at the number of young people that are traveling abroad, it probably supersedes anything that we've had in previous generations, right? Where young people are going to Europe and traveling to Africa and just Australia. They're going wherever their passport can take them, right? And so I think that they're choosing experience over being kind of tethered to this piece of property. Yes, it is an investment. Yes, it is generational wealth. But when you're young and you're thinking about right now. You're not thinking about generational wealth most of the time. You're not thinking about passing on assets. You're not thinking about dying. So if as we older people are talking about build generational wealth and send something to my children and leave a legacy behind, they just want to have a good time. And that's what a lot of them are investing their money in.
And I'm seeing that more and more. I am actually seeing our title, Why is 56 the New Age? I'm actually seeing this in my business. Most of the kids I call them kids because I'm 55, but they're coming out of college. They're already in debt. They can barely afford the rents because of the affordability of homes and even the affordability of actual rents. And I'm going to give you an example. Even HUD homes, which are considered homes that are affordable to get in, are still pretty high. So before we went live, I went to see what was the lowest price HUD home in California. It's $581,000. And that's not even in LA, y'all. That's actually kind of inland and not really close to the ocean. So you have a lot of them that are paying back these student loan debts, and then also worrying about even feeding themselves. And then the house prices are just continuing to rise. So it is really hard for them, but it's definitely not impossible. So Joe, how can Black families leverage their resources and credit to get into home ownership despite these barriers that we've talked about?
Well, I think that, we have to talk about, again, wealth building, right? And understanding, what the purpose of buying a home is really for, and get over the emotional toll of, or the shame of, I don't have a home, or I'm not hitting traditional milestones, or I'm stuck in this, or I'm exhausted from that, and like the trade-off that, I think Marlo was right, that people are traveling, the younger people are traveling. So thinking that, you can't do both. So it's just, I think the biggest resource we have, Lala, is education. People like you that understand and know, what that what we're talking about, and that will talk to us or talk to our young people in a way that's sincere, with an honesty, with integrity, and, can give them the information they need to understand exactly what they're getting into, because I think that's the most important thing, just education. That's the biggest resource that we have. If we can leverage that and, talk and understand, then, we have more people, not living check to check and not sacrificing experiences for things that, are not really essentially how they want to live, but how they think they should be living.
Exactly. And I think, I hate to say it, but I also think you have to pull in the culture of reality TV that you see a lot too now. People are focusing a little bit more on what they can get now and what they can perceive themselves as being from the outside in. Now, Incog says many companies today don't offer a pension, which is a safety net, and salaries are decreasing. With that being said, it makes it harder to really take that risk on with ownership. With that being said, we're going to take a short break and we will be right back.
Woo! It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
And that's what we do here. We want to make sure that you can get your financial house in order to go after the dreams that you want, whether it's buying a home or whether it's traveling the world, or, you have to have your financial house in order regardless of what you want to do in life. So make sure that you go to flynubianmoney.com and go ahead and get in on those free resources, because we are out here to send that white horse to help you get on and ride it to that dream. All right, we have another video that I do want us to watch so that we can dive back into this information. Let's check this out.
Why is it that Black people have the lowest rate of home ownership in the nation? I think a lot of it has to do with our history around buying homes. I think a lot of it has to do with gentrification. I think a lot of it has to do with shady lending practices and redlining, putting us in a position or a mentality of discouragement when it comes to buying homes. Let me tell you this. Your dream to buy a home is perfectly attainable. You just lack information. So real quick, because I don't have a lot of time, I'm just gonna go over a few things. First of all, you don't need an 800 credit score to buy a home. That's nice, but you can get pre-qualified for a loan with a 580. Not only could you get pre-qualified for a loan with a 580, but if you go in FHA or VA, you can get a down payment of as low as 3.5%. In addition to getting a low down payment rate, you could even get grants that are designed to alleviate some of that stress to low-income individuals. You're capable of putting down as low as a couple $1,000s for your home. And if you do something like I did, which is called a house hack, you may walk away making money with your purchase. You don't know what you don't know. Seeking out the information cannot hurt you. Reaching out to a lender or a realtor won't hurt you. The disappointment may hurt just a bit, but it gives you something to strive towards. A lot of lenders and agents will tell you what you need to do in order to qualify.
Baby, if I had a fan and a tambourine, I would be all on this. He is spitting so much knowledge, and I know that it is because it's the same thing that I tell people too. Since 2006, when I first even got into real estate, I started teaching classes. And when I started teaching those home buying classes, I partnered with nonprofit organizations. And those nonprofit organizations would give you the down payment money. You would get a certificate. And because you came and took one day or just a full Saturday of classes, they would grant you the money from the nonprofits so that you can get into a home. It's very much worth it. Not only are you getting the money, but you are also getting the education to help you become a good homeowner. So you kind of get it in a roundabout way. So with that being said, I want to shift the narrative because Marlo, you said, sometimes, they may not want to sit down and buy a home. Their priorities may be different. So how can we, because I know you say you're working toward home ownership, how can we shift the narrative about home ownership in our communities to focus on wealth building over time rather than just instant access?
Well, I think we just are in an instant access mode, right? Like society just goes in waves, and we are now in the microwavable setting where everybody just wants stuff fast because they see that things can be fast. Like even if you look at your friends on the internet, somebody right now is asking somebody how they can do some job for them in 24 hours, right? Everybody wants quick turnover. And so I think that what we can do is really as a whole society is make sure that where you are, people aren't being locked out of home ownership. We know that billionaire VC capital firms are buying acres and acres and acres of property, building large homes on them, and then turning around and leasing those homes so that they can make that money 10 times over with no intention to buy. We need to be engaged citizens and making sure that our cities and our states are not going for this, because this is the model that when those 20 and 30-year-olds are looking and they want to buy a home, they'll find that they can't because there aren't any homes available. When we talk about these, oh, there's so many buyers, but there aren't many homes. That's because people are allowed to go out and buy homes in mass. And look, love capitalism is great, but it causes us to have these circular conversations. Why can't people afford to buy homes, or why are people locked out of the housing market? Well, because capitalism is locking them out of the housing market, whether it's because, as you said, the lowest HUD home was like $500,000. Okay, with that 20,000 or that 20% that we like to put down, that suggested 20% down, that's looking like $100K. How many 30-year-olds have $100K in their bank account to put down on a home so that they don't get in over their head in this HUD loan for this home that's $500,000 in the bottleneck of California? Like, I think that some of this is us being asleep as at the wheel as citizens and not paying attention to things that are being allowed to happen in our communities. And I love an Airbnb, but it is affecting home prices and it is affecting home access, and we can't ignore those sorts of things.
Yes, and that is definitely having an effect on the market, especially in places like California, because people want to come and visit the beach. People, everybody's California dreaming. Well, then all of a sudden, the investors and the real estate investment groups were getting together, buying up all these properties, and then that also took away the homes from those in that area who could definitely buy it and build it for themselves. And I think that there's also a lot of myths around home ownership that people just need to be educated on. Such as, you can't buy on your own. You should be married. You shouldn't buy on your own if you're a single woman. When all of these things that I know for a fact are excellent for just those types of people, because it does help them build that wealth. So, Joe, with a little bit of these myths behind it, how can we combat the myth that Black people aren't financially stable enough to own homes? And, you talked about the systematic barriers. So how do those barriers keep us from owning homes?
Yeah, I mean, it becomes financial trauma. Actually, you know what I mean. Like I told you, like I was taken advantage of in my early 20s through some predatory lending by somebody I knew and trusted. So that became a traumatic thing for me, and my relationship with home ownership got fractured for a while. You know what I mean? So you're talking about how to overcome. How does this happen? That's how it happens. We have financial trauma in our community, and what we're not doing, or what we need to do, maybe, is talk about reframing home ownership. As a journey, not like the benchmark. It's not. You don't. I got a home. I made it. That's not what it is. It's a relationship with your values, and that's not just home ownership. That's success in general. Do you have a relationship with your values that helps you make decisions based on how you actually want to live, and not how your trauma dictates your decisions? Are you buying a home because you were homeless, or are you buying a home because it's actually a great financial decision for you and it makes sense? So, part of what we need to do, and I'm always, I'm a therapist, so I'm always gonna hover around this type of stuff. But we got to release that shame around renting or co-living or delaying your purchase. Sometimes it's just not the time, because we're rushing into situations that we're not ready for, and we're not finding the good resources, or the thing like all this stuff you just mentioned a second ago, Lala. I'm guaranteed I've never heard any of that. I'm guaranteeing a lot of people have never heard any of that. But all these opportunities to get help with purchasing a home, and you don't know about them because your trauma is making you rush into situations that you're not ready for. So that financial trauma, we gotta partner with culturally competent financial advisors who can help us understand what are we doing. We're identifying these beliefs that you just spoke of, and helping us lift some of that anxiety, and we can set realistic goals that align with our emotions and our values. And then money and mental health go hand in hand. You know,
Mhm.
they go hand in hand. So having conversations around that will put us in a position where we're not stressing ourselves out in purchasing situations. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely do. I definitely do. With that being said, that's a great point for us to take a break. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us, so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
And we do have that for you guys. If you're missing out on that, I'm telling you, it's priceless. You must come and join us and just watch one class, and you will see that it is priceless and very much worth your money to invest in yourself. We are all there for you. We have classes for you, help you level up in all aspects of your life. Go ahead and sign up for your 30-day free trial at flynubianmoneyclub.com. Now, listen, we have another video, but before we get into that, I want to kind of lead into it, because one of the things that I am seeing, especially now in these political times, is I am seeing a lot of corporate people, such as Blackfish, making sure that they are buying up land and houses and actually building full-blown neighborhoods that are not for sale. They are only for rent. And the first time I saw that down in Florida, it blew my mind. It made me so angry, because you get everything about home ownership. You pay to fix the house, you pay to cut the grass, you pay for the electricity bill, you pay all that, but you still don't have the benefit of the actual home ownership to leverage. And so I'm seeing more and more of this. And therefore, honey, if they're taking things away from you like that, there is a reason. There is a reason that they're doing that. But I also see younger people flocking to that because of lifestyle shifts. And so what I am seeing is that young adults in their 20s, they are valuing mobility, life experiences, and the flexibility rather than staying put in one house. So here's an example. A 28-year-old digital nomad working remotely may prefer renting so that they can go travel around the world and do these Airbnbs for a full year, because they know that once they get tired of maybe Lisbon, Portugal, they can bounce to Bali the next year. So it feels to them like they are actually settling down and they don't want to be tied to one place, especially when they don't have the job security. And that kind of leads into this next video I want us to look at, because I want to hear your thoughts about that. This is not just for our panel here today. I want to hear what you think about this in our viewership land. So let's check this out.
So this is something that I see a lot, so I just want to talk about it. I really dislike when people will like see how somebody's spending their money and say stuff like, oh, they priorities not intact, like they buying a bunch of jewelry, oh, they going out the country and they ain't buying no home. Like, look, just because it's a personal life goal for you to buy a home don't mean that that's everybody's life goal. Like, I have no interest in buying a home. Like, I think it's pointless. To me, like, I don't knock nobody's accomplishments, but I wouldn't want to be a single woman owning a home. Like, I feel like home ownership is for families. And then on top of that, like, I'm not about to be responsible. Like, every time it break down, every time something in my house break down, I got to pay for it. I got to pay for property tax. Like that's just not something that I ever really wanted to invest my money in. Like, I could see myself like living in an RV or like getting like a mobile home before I invest in a home. Like, and I could see myself like moving to different states all the time. Like, yeah, so I just want to put that out there. Like, just because you want to own a home and that was like a big accomplishment to you does not mean that that's a life goal for everyone. Like, I want to spend my money on trips, moving to different states. Like, I want to live an exciting life. Like, I don't want to just be a homeowner and just live in the same house for 30 years and go to the same job and wake up every day and do the same thing. So yeah, not knocking nobody, but that's not everybody go. But see you, bye.
I love the see you bye. I see her points, but I also see a lot of holes in what she said. I'm not going to pull those out. Marlo, did you see anything in her thinking that may not quite make sense?
Well, I mean, to borrow from my granny, you got to pay to lay, right? Wherever you go, there is a cost associated with it. Even if you on the street, there's a safety cost, right? There is always going to be a cost associated with the cost of living. So I think that while I get what she's saying about a little bit more flexibility and freedom and all of that stuff, you got that mobile home. If you have an RV, obviously that's drivable, that's vehicle maintenance, right? It's also maintenance for all the things that pop out. If you got a cool RV, you got to keep all of the hydraulics going so that your tent can pop out and all your other stuff. If you have a fixed mobile home that's on a lot, you still got to pay to get that thing. Like, okay, so let's say you live in Louisiana and then you want to move to Tennessee, you still got to get that thing transported. So there's still a cost associated with that. I think that Joe is the licensed therapist, so I cannot wait to hear what he heard in the fine print. But I think that there is something underlying. I'm sure if we met her mother, she's probably a beautiful woman who scraped and survived like good times to buy a home for 30 years, doing whatever job for 30 years. And she doesn't see any value in that because that probably represents lack for her. But I don't know the sister, but it's a little bit of, what is it? Half a dozen in one hand, six in the other, however you say
Right.
it. I think it's part and parcel of the same thing. But I think that, there probably is something deeper inside that is preventing her from seeing home maintenance and mobile home maintenance is still home maintenance.
It is, regardless, wherever you go, even if you're in a mobile home, you still have to pay for where that mobile home is sitting on the lot. So I think that there is a lot of confusion and a lot of miseducation and misunderstanding and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you want to go and make sure that you learn the correct way. But Joe, now listen, this ties into mental thinking. This ties into, everything that you said, but I would love to hear your thoughts on where you think her thinking is in this situation about home ownership.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, there might have been like a couple gaps in education in there, but the overall thought process is not, I'm just not far off. I can understand where she would get to that space. Generations of Black people, this generation is really kind of more tired or not so into earning their place, so to speak. White ice is not always colder for this younger generation. So, constantly being told over and over again to earn their place through home ownership and marriage and degrees, they're not really on that. And there's just a lot of them that are just not on that. So, young Black people are refusing to chase these type of milestones. They just don't want to do it because it looks like, hell to them. So they're choosing more emotional freedom, taking these trips, as she said, and they're looking at it like, we're lazy, as they're being told over and over again. We're lazy and we don't really want nothing. And they're like, no, we're just tired of striving for approval. The same approval from the system that y'all just let beat y'all asses over and over again. That's kind of what their mind state is. So I don't, yeah, there's some things that she said maybe that don't really measure up, but a lot of it, for the most part, she is on track with a lot of it. So that's where we have to merge some of that mental peace with education, so we can understand, we can have mental clarity and we can get financial freedom. Sometimes, but sometimes not owning stuff or not owning a home is the healthiest choice for your nervous system, and that's okay. Like, we got to normalize people like not wanting to own homes because they choosing their peace or um and we got to start setting those boundaries against that culture of guilt that says, oh, you have to own a home by 25, you need to be married by 28, you need to have children by 30. And some people just don't want those things for themselves. um
That's right.
and
That's right.
that's okay.
It is okay. And I will say, and a lot of people are shocked, even when I'm teaching the classes, I teach that in my class. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Why would you go into something that you are going into with a stress about? It's not going to be pleasant for you. Everything that you do is going to be so stressful now, it's going to be on your mental, right? Or, oh my God, I got to cut the grass again. I ain't got no money. I don't know no lawnmower. Those types of things that may indicate to you that you're not quite ready yet, and that is okay. I do want to hit a couple of our comments. Black Lexicon said, lovely, magnificent Lala, how sweet you are. When you are buying a home, you are also buying a community too. Yes, you are, because you become a part of that community. Whether you coming home and seeing Mr. Jones every day, that's one thing. Maybe you coming home and you see Miss Marble across the street who's 80 years old, who needs maybe her mail brought to her. You are now a part of that community. So where you live and being a good citizen in that community is a very big part of home ownership. Then Incog said in this last video that she told no lies. So he agrees with that young lady. And then Double A actually says, nah, home ownership is not just for families. And she doesn't agree with her there. And I have to tell you that I agree with that. I want to tell you all a little story. I had my youngest homeowner was 19 years old. He had just gotten out of school. He had saved up his whole life because he wanted to own a home because his mother was a single mother and he was struggling, and he saw her struggling, and he wanted to buy a home so that they could have that not over their head. So what he did is he learned how to invest. He went to the classes. He saved up enough money. He went to a grant program, like I talked, that's where I met him from. He bought a duplex, one side for his mother and him, and he rented out the other side to help with that home ownership. So he was 19 years old. So it's all about the mindset. It's all about what you want in your life. For him, that's what he wanted. But I do want to share this. There is a wealth gap in home ownership. So according to the US Census, Black Americans are still very underrepresented in home ownership, with 44% of Black families owning homes compared to 74% of white families. This gap has persisted for decades, reflecting broader systematic issues. We have a lot to fight through, and just with everyday life going on. So let's check out a couple of other stats on this, because it's really important to understand that this is not just mentality. It's actually things that have been done to us that we have to break through. So the median age of home buyers in 2024 has risen up to 56 from 45. Now, guys, I told y'all I bought my home when I was I was 29 years old. Even 45 to me is a little older, right? So it's up from 45 just a few years ago. Now, this trend is a direct result of high home prices, rising mortgage rates, and economic pressures that have pushed younger buyers out of the market. I'm going to ask you, Marlo, do you agree with that? Do you believe that all of these factors are things that are holding the young generation back, whereas the elders, like they're in their 50s now, they feel like they can possibly get over those barriers? Is that what you think is causing this disparity in age?
I mean, I want to know who set the age, right? Like, who said 25 or 29 or 23? Who said that there's a magical number associated with this, right? Like, I think that a lot of times we get so bogged down. Listen, love realtor.com, whoever put this study together, but sometimes we get bogged down into the demographics of the who, and we're not looking at the what, right? The what is the systemic issue that puts your granny in a position where, your grandfather died, she couldn't keep or take care of the house, or there wasn't enough knowledge of how valuable Granny's house was. So when the gentrifiers came, you sold it. I think that there are definitely conversations that need to be had in the Black community about wealth building and ownership and all of those things. But I think that adding this arbitrary age assignment, right? Maybe in your 50s, you know better, right? Maybe when you're in your 50s, you aren't as impulsive as you are in your 20s. So taking on home ownership is more appealing to you in that age bracket where maybe you've worked up the success ladder, or maybe you've built your business to where you have a little bit of padding in terms of income coming in and you're not stretched to the hills. Maybe the idea of paying a mortgage and all the things associated with a home while you're raising small children is not really people's dream, right? Maybe people have a different dream. And so I think it's kind of odd to me, this arbitrary number that is thrown around for like the age of home ownership. I think you buy a home when you are ready to buy a home. I have a lot of friends who bought homes when they were young, ended up losing those homes. Joe talked about predatory lending, being a young homeowner, a young home buyer, and getting trapped in a predatory lending situation, which, you know, predatory lending is almost made for Black people, right? Made for Black people, made for poor whites and poor Hispanics. But I think that we get caught into these demographics that do not mean anything. Because when I look at somebody in their 50s, I think of somebody that's more stable. I think of somebody that is like planning and goal setting. When you're in your 20s, it's just an accomplishment. It's just something you did, and everybody at the family reunion, you can say, "Oh, Joe bought a house, girl. You said Joe new house. Oh, girl, Joe bought a. Oh, Joe, that's so good. You bought a house." What does it mean, right? I think for me, that's the more important thing. It's like, buy a home when you are ready to take care of a home. Become a homeowner when you understand that it is a wealth builder and it is something that can help you and the generations to come. Not necessarily this, 2.5 kids and a dog and a picket fence. All of that shit don't matter. I say every week, that shit fake. We made that shit up. We can make up new rules.
I agree. Ooh-wee, where's I totally agree with that. Everybody's timing is completely different. What's good for somebody else is not always good for you. So don't tell me that I have to follow somebody else's guideline when that may not be my dream. So I think I'm wholeheartedly agreeing with absolutely everything that Marlo said. And with that, we're going to take a little bit of break so I can sit back and do a holy dance for a few minutes, and then we'll be right back.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Baby, I'm looking for you. I am looking for you. Let me tell you what just came out just a couple of days ago. All right. Target came out and said, our business is really suffering because how we don't support DEI. Don't tell me our money is not worth it to them. When we take our money away from them, our $2 trillion away from them, then they are going to feel it. So guess what? You got to fill that role, don't you? Somebody got to fill that role. You got a business, you got a service. We are here putting this directory together right now. And all you have to do is send your information to info@realvirtual.net. Now, don't be sending us no half butt pooty poot stuff. I want all your information. I want your name, your business name, your address, your website, your email, anything that you got, a little bio about you, a little photo. Listen, we are looking for you. It's no probably. We are looking for you because if I can spend my money with you, I'm going to spend it with you. So do that today so that we can help get this directory together a lot quicker and get it out to the public. And it is free. Most places like this charge you, but this is free. Now, listen, Joe, I do want to kind of tap back into you for a little bit because I think that you have really good experience that you can share with us about the predatory lending that you experienced when you purchased your home. Can you please tell us just a little bit about what you learned and maybe in hindsight, what you could have possibly avoided with a little bit of education on that?
Yeah, so it was my I had a girlfriend at the time, and her brother was a lender. So, he was obviously just trying to make money for himself, right? So I wasn't probably financially prepared enough to own a home at the time, but he talked me into it, like buying a house from one of his family members. So it was like a win-win situation from him. I'm stuck with this crappy house and this bad loan that I don't have the credit to support. I don't have the financial portfolio to support. And also, I don't understand anything about how loans work. So I can't remember what kind. Maybe you could tell me what kind of loan it was that it just explodes after a certain number of years, and all of a sudden it's way more of a payment than it. You know what I'm talking about, Lala?
Yes, I do. It's adjustable rates.
Yeah, right. So it just came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden I got this huge, and I ended up going into foreclosure on that property. It was my first,
Mhm.
and I had to. Took me a while to bounce back from that situation. But if somebody had, like I said, aligned me with, or even talk to me about what are your actual goals here? Like, what is your actual financial goals? What is your life goals? What are your values? What are you trying to do? Okay, so maybe this isn't for you. Like, you don't want to be in one space for 30 years. No, I don't think I don't want to be in one space. I don't want to be on the north side of Minneapolis for 30 years. So, those type of conversations would have been helpful to me. Um, so I would have been able to make different decisions, and it would have basically improved my entire 20s, or in my 30s I would have had
Mhm.
experiences. And I don't like to, obviously, as a therapist, I don't like to swim in regret, but I'm just telling reality. So those are the type of conversations that I advise anybody to have. Like, every decision that you make for your sake of peace has to align with your own values. If your dream, or chasing your so-called dream, requires you to go broke, stay anxious, or even possibly lose yourself, maybe it's not for you. Just to say, like Marlo said, to be at the family reunion talking about so and so got a house, sitting there with your chest out. Meanwhile, you suffer in silence. So
You
everything.
may be going to that family reunion just so you can get a plate to eat, right?
And the t yeah, he might need that T-shirt. Yeah,
Right, right, right. It's very true. But and that's what I say. Even if you at the time would have been able to have education, you probably could have made that decision with a little more information other than someone kind of pushing you into that situation. And there are still a lot of predatory issues that are going on in this market now, even more so than just a few years ago. So you do need to get educated. Now, Life Beyond the Ring says maybe the solution is pooling money with family and building a family compound to help elders and the younger generation. I do want to say something about that. What I am seeing in other communities that is not happening in our Black communities is the Asian community, the Hispanic communities, the Jewish communities. What they do is they pool their money and they go in a succession of, okay, now it's Tim and Jane's time to buy a house, and everybody pools together and helps Tim and Jane do that. The next couple that's in line will come and live with Tim and Jane, and they'll help them save up money. And then 2 years later, Tim and Jane help launch Brian and Beyonce to go into the next house. And what they do is they pivot off of each other to build the communities and to help the next one in line to get that home ownership. I think we are really and truly missing that in our communities. And if it's something that you want, there is a way that you still can get together, even if it's just an investment club. So there are ways to get around that. And I think that we can definitely learn from what other communities are doing in order to build our wealth in our communities and to help show by doing the next generation that if they really want it, they can get it. So with that being said, I want to talk about two more stats that we have, and then we're going to, and if anybody in the comments has any questions or any experiences that they have had when buying home ownership, or maybe you don't want to buy, share us with us what your thoughts on that. So we're going to look at these two stats, and then we'll address any questions, and then otherwise we'll get ready for final thoughts. So home prices and income gaps. Get ready for this. According to the National Association of Realtors, the median price of a home in 2024 is more than 50% higher than it was a decade ago, making it difficult for younger first-time buyers to enter the market. And I can attest to that. Student loan debt, which we did touch on a little bit earlier, the Federal Reserve reports that nearly 45 million Americans hold over 1.7 trillion in student loan debt, a factor that heavily impacts younger buyers' ability to save for down payments and qualify for mortgages. Now, listen, this is a direct effect of what's happening with these kids who have graduated from college and moving back into their parents' home because they can't afford what the rent is. And so it is almost impossible for some people to even see home ownership when they're just trying their very, very best to get out from any kind of debt that they may have, right? So I see solutions and I see reasons why people are afraid, but I want to let everybody know that if it is something that you want, I don't care. It doesn't have to be home ownership. Baby, if you want that Maserati, you still gonna have to plan for it. If you want that RV to travel the world, you're still gonna have to plan for it. Anything you want to do, you may have barriers, but it's not going to stop you from achieving your dreams. That comes within your own mind. So we didn't have any comments right now, but or any other questions that we have about that. So I'm going to move us into our final thoughts. And I'm going to start with you, Marlo. What are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
So my final thought is run your own race. There is no reason for you to be looking at this report and this statistical data set and that data point and thinking that that applies to you. You move, you make your moves when it's time for you to make your moves. Don't get yourself in debt because nobody got to pay your way out of that debt. Nobody has to save you or rescue you from that debt. And as a matter of fact, the stress of wondering if they are whispering and shoo-shooing because your home is in foreclosure, because you have to move out of a home where you were paying a mortgage into an apartment. Don't worry about none of that. Like I said earlier, we made that shit up. Make up your own rules. Is it hurting somebody else? That's my checklist. What you want to do? Is it hurting somebody else? No. Go with your move, because at the end of the day, it's your life. And the only person that got to live with your regrets is you. I don't have to live with your regrets, only my own. And I try not to stay there for too long. If you want to live whatever your soft girl life is and you want to level up your web presence, your social media and your website are not saying the same thing, your messaging is off brand because you don't understand what your brand message is, get in touch with the Marlo Group. We specialize in SEO and brand alignment, helping you understand how to speak to your clients and draw the type of clientele that you want so that you can have the life that you want. That's the website right there under my face, themarlogroup.com. Send us a request for a consult or drop us a little note and we'll get back with you.
Easy peasy. Look, just go to the website. And I will tell you that Marlo also taught this in our class with File Newbie Money Club. And it was an excellent class. She knows her stuff. She's going to help you be seen. And we've already said just how important it is for you to be seen now because people are looking for you. So make sure you follow that homework assignment and go to her website at themarlogroup.com. All right, Joe, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
Hey, yeah, I'll be brief. I just want to say I want us to get to a place where we're recognizing that our home is not really a building; it's more of a feeling. And for the younger generation of Black people, the most important investment we can make is in our peace. I think that's where we need to start. We need to go there, and that's my hope and my prayer for all the young Black people who may be listening, and even the the older generations of Black people that are listening. I want you to lean into your peace, your healing, your freedom to define what success is on your own terms, what healthy and whole life is on your own terms. That's whether you're single, married, whether you rent, whether you own. Your worth is not measured by, these things, if that's not in alignment with what you want to be. So it's not measured by property. It's more rooted in your purpose. And like I said, I'm always going to tell y'all every single time I'm on the show to align with your values and don't make any decisions that go against those values, because that is where you will find peace. So, keep building, even keep building on that foundation. And if it doesn't look like what people expect it to look like, that's fine. That's more got to do with them than it has to do with you. And you can find me at realuconsulting.com. All my links to my socials are on there. My link to my podcast is on there. We're doing 2 Tuesdays a month now. I really want y'all to tap in and expand these conversations that I'm having, because it's really all about, for me, making sure that we are all getting in alignment with our values and moving towards peace, and stop trying to fight this imaginary, achievements that are stressing us out.
I love it. Joe is here for our community. And I think that I don't think I know that your peace is priceless. And Joe can help you get there. And if you just need to talk it out, you don't even know where to turn. Sometimes just speaking to someone will allow you to see clearer. And his podcast is absolutely amazing. So you want to make sure that you tap into that. Your homework assignment is to make sure you reach out to him at www.realuconsulting.com. We love our Joe because he always brings the heart to our show, and he allows us to get back to center. Because sometimes, I don't know about y'all, but I can get a little crazy. I can get a little crazy out here. I am going to address two of our comments before I give you my final thoughts. Big Mac says, I think home ownership is possible, but you might not be able to get the home you want at that particular time. That is true. I call home ownership also stepping stones. If you do want it, you may not get that 4-bedroom that you want. Maybe you can get a 2-bedroom and then later use that to leverage to get that 4-bedroom. So that is very much true. And C. White says, yes, I agree. Before purchasing anything, a person needs to understand all the requirements before they make any decisions. That's true. And in my case, and in my husband's case, we bang up in this house. There's music going on in our house 24/7. That was one of our reasons, because we wanted to play our drums just as loud as we needed to play them and sing just as loud as we needed to do. So that was one of our reasons. So we understood because we also took a class. So I have to agree with you, C. White, on that. Listen, here's my final thoughts. You are going to have to do you. If home ownership is something that you want, it is achievable. But I can't explain to you and stress more than this. Get educated. My grandma used to say, before you do anything, get you some education. And that is no different when it comes to home ownership. If you are interested in purchasing a home, maybe you just want to see, hey, is that something I even really want to do? You can tap into me because I'm an international real estate agent. I've been teaching classes since 2006. I've got free classes. I also have workbooks and then paid classes for you as well. You can find all of that and sign up for my newsletter at www.laurakey.net. Okay, so I hope to see you on that other side, even if you just have questions. So here's what we're going to leave you with today. We want to say thank you, first of all, because we love that you tune in with us. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. And we have discussed the barriers to home ownership, and we have agreed that the barriers are real, especially for the younger generation and our Black communities. But with the right strategies, education, community support, We can start breaking down these barriers and create more pathways to financial freedom. Whether it's understanding the home buying process better, saving smarter, or getting the right financial education, we have the power. We have the power to make that change. So let's keep pushing for the accessible home ownerships and wealth building in our communities. That's what we do at Fly Nubian Money. So until tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, stay empowered, stay informed, and keep building your financial legacy. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out. Bye.